Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate. This is episode 148 of our Star Wars X-Wing podcast. Tonight, JJ is going to join me. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the points that we never get to cover. We're not going to go through the points, though, because that's not fun. And it's not going to be any fun for us to go read through the points and go, yay, boo, yay. And I thought it would be fun, though, if we covered a couple of user-submitted lists, maybe a list or two that we've been playing. I might have to eat a little bit of crow. We'll see. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the weird AMG points drop. I don't know what that's for or why they did it, but they did it. So I thought, you know what we're going to do is we're just going to have a shorter episode for our X-Wing podcast tonight. And we're going to talk a little bit and go over some lists. With that being said, please welcome to the room, Mr. JJ. Your head is still ugly. And how many wins do you have?
About the same as the Lions. Yes, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we actually had a much better game today. Unfortunately, it turns out when you hurt a kicker on the first play of the game from pulling a hamstring from chasing somebody down, turns out you can end up losing 6 points in a game, which would have actually won you the game if you had a backup kicker that could actually kick.
Yeah, I think the Lions had that issue before too, and they fixed that. I don't know how you guys can't fix yours, but I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I don't think did the Lions play today. I did not watch the Lions today.
Yeah,
so.
they lost pretty badly to I forget who, but yeah, they lost pretty bad today.
Yeah, because last week when we were recording on Sunday after the show, people were posting in our chat on Twitch. So if you want to watch this or some of our other shows live, we do live shows Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. But I went upstairs to do some editing, and there's the Lions on, and I was like, oh, I'll watch this. And then I'm sitting here, and my wife's like, you should stop watching it. You're just going to get angry. This is not going to be like last year. And I was like, yes, it is. And she's like, no, it's not. And I was like, all right, well, I don't know. We'll see. So, but anyway, hopefully you've had some good time. Unfortunately, like I said, we don't do this every week, but we have had a rash of stuff that has kind of come out, so we're doing a little bit more frequently. I know last week we actually had Ali on, and we had a whole conversation with Ali. We released that to the public, and so I actually went and got to put some of the new beta points on the table today, and I was a little bit fired up, so I kind of sent JJ a message and said, hey, if you got a few extra minutes and you want to join me before our other show, let's record this and have a conversation about why I might be wrong about CIS. And maybe we should just change the title, why Tanner might be wrong about CIS. I don't want to ever admit that normally. Thank you. I got a cookie. I got a cookie for being right or being wrong. I don't know. But anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the lists that we had users submitted. And if you still want to submit more lists, go ahead. We have a whole Discord channel for you. Go ahead and submit more X-Wing lists. We'll cover them kind of as we get time and as new developments come out. So with that being said, I want to cover, to begin with, though, before we go too far, I want to cover AMG, I guess. I don't want to cover AMG, but we're being forced to again. They dropped a tweet for us, right? And the tweet essentially said that, hey, guess what? We are going to be forced to release something, I guess. I don't know if that's truly the case that they were forced to, or if they chose to do it to be gracious, but they actually gave us a points update, which is okay. They also gave us TIE Phantom and the Star Wing, the actual points for them. And on top of that, they gave us a print and play where we can do print and play for both of those ships that they're never going to re-release to us. So I don't know, JJ, what do you think? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's peculiar, right? Because we know that from announcements from 2 years ago, we knew that the Star Wing was something that they were developing. We knew that was one of the ships coming down the line. They had made mention to it just by posting some artwork that was being done for it. We knew that they were working on some standard loadout pilots for these cards. However, the big surprise definitely was the TIE Phantom that they mentioned in their release that they were releasing pilot cards for. So that was definitely a wonderful surprise. I wonder if they were planning to release it as a 2-pack, right? Like one Star Wing, one TIE Phantom.
That would be my assumption, yeah.
Yeah. So that would have been interesting. They would have been able to reprint those ships. Those are two ships that have been out of print since 1.0, and we haven't seen them since. And Star Wings are very difficult to find in the wilds. I know that for me, I've had to 3D print them myself just so I can have extra copies of the Star Wing. So but yeah, thankfully we got these new cards there, and we'll put the link to the AMG website where you can actually find the print and play there. These are tournament legal for the GTs. So if you're planning on heading on to a GT, I know we just had one in Ontario this weekend. But if you're planning to go to a GT, do expect to see these cards there. We'll have to review them on a different time, but they are very, very, very good, and we'll just have to touch on them on a different cast here.
Yep. And what we'll do is we'll actually, Alex was kind of interested in that too. So we'll have a conversation with Alex and actually maybe plan something out where we can kind of go through them. I don't want to go through all of the fancy stuff. I just kind of wanted to show you, hey, look, AMG gave us some stuff. It's a little exciting and a little not exciting. Like it's obviously a little too late, but on the positive side, it is kind of exciting to, like see some of the design. I mean, like, we'll put it this way. These had come in more design than what we'd ever expected, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is actually like, these are like not just like blueprints. These are something that they had ready to go for production when they decided to cancel on us. I almost stole this artwork. Some of this artwork is just so good, actually. And I hope maybe somebody who wants to have a conversation with AMG, maybe you can nudge them to release some of this artwork as for like backgrounds. Like, I would love to have one of these, like, especially this TIE Phantom right here. Like, give me that as a background for my laptop.
Yeah, absolutely. It is fantastic. The work that they commission for these, I mean, it is top notch. Fantastic.
Yeah. So I will say AMG's always been good. As you can see, like, there's the pilots again. They're re-releasing. So you could print these out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you're going to print these out so that we can play them for tournament play, highly suggest that you print these out on cardstock, one side for each side of the cardstock, so that way when you glue them together, they feel like a regular like SL card that up and stuff. You can have it probably like laminated so that way it doesn't get too dirty and whatever. But cardstock is usually the best way to print those out, just one on each side and then glue them together. Best way.
Yeah. As for the points, I don't know if this is going to load or not.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they all came out at 5 points apiece. Every one of these standard pilots.
Yep.
The other part of it though is the points release where they nerfed a few upgrades and such, but we'll have to cover that on a separate cast. But yeah, there's quite a few points changes that will affect the meta that we have so far for AMG points.
Yep, I didn't see what the Phantoms came in at. So yeah, you're right. Those other ones are at 5. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, all the Phantoms and
everything's just at 5 points. Oh my god.
5. Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, we'll cover. We'll have Alex. We'll sit down with Alex. And we'll talk about that. Maybe build a few lists together for it, and I think it'll be fun. The highlights are they nerfed Han. They nerfed some of these B-Wings, right? They nerfed... what else did they nerf?
They hit Death Troopers. They hit some of the loadout for the Decimator. They lowered the costs for for the I-5 Striker. I forget her name.
Duchess.
Yeah, thank you. And I think those are the biggest highlights there. There are quite a few things throughout the doc that they did, but yeah, it's there's quite a few changes on there.
Yeah. So anyway, so I thought that was interesting and kind of worth sharing, just in the vein of, hey, by the way, look at like they told us the game's dead, and now they're like making changes to it.
Hey, yeah.
And they happen to come out the same week that XWA stuff came around, so the irony of it all. And I don't, we're not going to get into like the website or any. I don't give I don't care anymore. We will cover the other pilots going forward, because I think they could be meta things that may come into play for Empire that you're going to want to watch out for. And we will cover. What I'll have JJ do is I'll have JJ go break down the points into just like, we'll just strip out the ones that are different. We'll put them all in there. We'll get the doc filled with all of the images for the new pilots. And then what we'll do is from there, what we could do is we'll have another cast or two, maybe two, I don't know, at least one more cast on some of the other AMG stuff. Just because I still like, I'm not decided I'm going to Worlds, but I'm 90% sure I'll probably be going to Worlds this year. And I won't, they won't,
likely change the points.
Sorry. This isn't live, so whatever. Sorry, I got like 20 texts. But yeah, but the chances are those are going to be the points we get for it. And I want to do at least one more episode, probably around Christmas time at minimum. Once we had a few tournaments with the newer points, just to kind of see the meta shakeup. I think we're going to see Rebels take a different tone. I know Republic lost a few of the arc pieces, and so just kind of some different things like that. So I think we'll definitely cover the new points going forward here in the next, like, I'll promise you in the next month. So, all right, but let's get into some lists. We had some user submitted lists I wanted to get into tonight. Hence the reason we actually are doing an X-Wing podcast tonight, specifically because I wanted to cover a few of the lists that you could be possibly seeing if you're going to be playing in Greg's Nickel City League. I think we're up to 180 or 200 people, something like that.
180 players. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I ended up getting in. I guess I wasn't on the list. I don't remember not being on the list, but I guess I wasn't on the list. So I got subbed in, and I'm now playing. I'm a Falcon. So
yeah.
So I get to play whatever faction, I guess. So either which way, Dr. Weston submitted the first list, and it is a good old scum list, and I'll go ahead and let JJ take the crack at this one.
Yeah, so definitely a really good list there. So we got Dace Bonearm in the HWK with Deadeye Shot, Ketsu Onyo crew, and Moldy Crow. Lando Calrissian in the Falcon with Notorious, Queel, Garth Saxon, Gunner, Hotshot Tail Blaster, and the Lando's Millennium Falcon title. Serestu in the M3A with Tractor Beam. Lima Kai in the Y-Wing with ion cannons, plasma torpedoes, and R4B11. And then appearance of Gorgor, a name I have not heard in a long time, in the M3A, coming in with afterburners and ion missiles to round off the list. Really solid list here. He has quite a bit of synergy here. So essentially, you're shooting first with Lima Kai and Seresu. Most likely shooting with Seresu first, that tractor beam. You're trying to hit a particular target, give it multiple tractor beams, hopefully, if you're shooting against a small base. If you do manage to hit with there and they happen to spend a token, that's really great, because now that leaves you with a shot from Lima Kai. She can now shoot that plasma torpedo at that tractored unit. She can use R4B11 to spend one of those tractor tokens to modify the dice. Hopefully stripping some shields, and now we're getting into work into this list. Next up, you got Dace Bonearm, which is going to ensure that tractor token on that ship stays on it for the following round, which is dirty. And then Lando coming in as well. He can, if you happen to shoot at Lando, which he's probably one of the two easiest targets on this list besides Lima, he's going to notorious you, and if he notoriouses you, he's going to give you a strain token after you shoot at him. He can spend that strain token or somebody else's target lock that's on that ship to roll an additional dice with Garth Saxon. And if you're stressed, he's going to get an additional die on top of that too. So that's potentially 4 dice at range coming in there. So that's really good. And then on top of that, Gorgor, his ability is if after he defends, he can deal the damage to an enemy ship that he's touching. So that afterburners boost to go into a block allows Gorgor to automatically push in damage if you're not able to kill him by the time he activates. So that is really nice. And then on top of that comes in with ion missiles, shooting at I-1, most likely at an unmodded ship. And if you're tractored, even worse, you'll end up ionized, and then we can repeat this process going on. So definitely a lot of synergy in that particular list.
Yeah, the only issue I have with the list personally is just Lando. I guess I'm just not a fan of the 1300s, but it is, at 5 points, it is still a pretty chunky ship, right? Um, the question is didn't they lower the shuttle to 0 cost?
The escape craft is 1 point. It's not 0.
Oof.
But
Okay.
you're probably thinking of the national pup for
Yeah,
the
that's right.
the
That's
YB.
right.
That is 0 points. Yeah,
I was gonna say, because if the other one was 0 points, I don't know why you wouldn't put that one in here.
yeah,
I think the Hot Shot Tail Blaster is garbage, personally. But
yeah.
that's
It's
just
there
me.
just to it's there just to basically allow Notorious to be on, because you need that listed on there. So it's the cheapest thing you could put on there in order to get
To
Notorious.
get Notorious. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I think the other stuff works decently well. I think the issue is you don't have a way to like pass your mods around, right? So like
yeah.
everything is single botted, except for maybe Lee Mackay. If you take a target lock the turn before and don't use it. Um, I have
Yeah,
not seen Gorgor in forever, so
yeah,
like
exactly.
I don't even know how that, like, if that guy if somebody played that against me, I'd just be like, well, I don't know what this ship is.
Yeah, it's a little weird, right? Because Lando's Notorious really depends on you shooting at Lando, right? So that way he can have that screen token to use. Lando has his own base rerolls with this ability already, so you're not necessarily needing Notorious in order for you to get those extra rerolls on there. You're probably just spending that Notorious strain for Gar Saxon to roll more dice. But I mean, hell, rerolls are always nice. You never know when you're gonna need them.
Yeah. All right, so it's a neat little list. Let's move on to Qual 3 submitted a CIS list. This one is O47 with clusters, TA 175, which I believe that's the tac droid that lets you spend a calculate to do to reroll a damage die. I think that's what it is. Then you have proton cannons, Cad Bane, and the no title for some reason. You might as well just throw the title on their qual. Like, he can take it for free, and
Yeah,
then he
yeah.
gets it. He's the only one that can take the title now. And then XX, the thread tracers on there as well, and treacherous. Then we have 081, which every one of the droids are contingency droids. So we have 081 and 311. Contingency ones, both with discords. The Horishals with ion missiles, and then Hyena class bombers with homing missiles. And I will tell you, homing missiles on those are stupid for 2 points. Like, because those Bactoid drones, as long as you have a target lock from something else, you can shoot them. So like the thread tracers are just overkill, right? Like that's what that is. But essentially, thread tracers allows this list to everybody to take a lock, and then that way, if you only have the one calculate for your discords and you shoot them, you don't have to worry about it. Horishals can then now shoot easily and can ionize something, and then you have the homing missiles, which just do base damage. I'm not sold on the T85. I'll just be honest. I don't like that one specifically, right? Personally,
So I mean,
I
it's kind of iffy, right? Because the TA 175 droid allows all the units that have calculates on their bar to gain a calculate token, right? So it's a pinata droid. One dies and
yeah.
then boom, bunch of calculates. Kind of works nice with the contingency protocol, assuming that it's one of those droids that die, because then you can select any one of the other ones and allow them to like grab a lock, right? If you need to, or barrel roll into position, so that way they can take a shot. Um, my only concern for this is if they don't kill anything, then your defense is kind of lowered. I get that's why you probably bring the threat tracers, just to kind of make sure that you can at least get all these ion missiles and homing missiles off with all the other droids on there. That is pretty nice. Personally, for me, 047 probably does better with energy shell charges and Discord missiles instead of the clusters, mainly because you have a range 3 shot now with 3 dice that you can modify with a calculate. And if everybody else already has locks, then you can reroll dice already without you needing to have that lock. And then hopefully you'll still have a calculate so that we can throw out a Discord missile as you need to. And the biggest thing about Discord missiles is that as long as you're putting them in front of your opponent, even if they don't hit or attach, your opponent now has to deal with them. They either have to ignore them, which means that they'll have to, either take a shot at it, which is one less shot going into your droids, or they're going to suffer a crit if they end up going over it and they're not able to get out of it, and it forces them to reposition and move out of the way in order for you to do that, and that makes them predictable. So having those extra Discord missiles is very beneficial on there. So I think having a third one probably would do it. I'm not sold on the treacherous combo with Cad Bane because I don't see you really flying behind your droids, right? To go in, probably sync laser would probably work better. I know that you get bigger spike damage with proton cannons, but I probably would go with synced just to make sure that you have a wider arc with 3 dice. But you can kind of pick and choose what you want with CAD.
Yeah, I think the other thing, how much are thread tracers now?
They're 4 points.
So, I mean, you could. I don't think that rogue is the. I think synced is just better. I guess. I think you're right. I think you go with the synced, and then you add some sort of an illicit on there.
Yeah.
Not false transponders, the overtune modulators. I think that's what I would add onto there.
Yeah.
And I would like treacherous is nice, but I don't foresee it. You're gonna have to stick Cad Bane in there, and I know why you have Cad Bane, because you have Cad Bane because Cad Bane gets the extra action when then things die. So I that part I do get, and I don't disagree with that, especially now that Dirge has been nerfed into the ground. Cad Bane is easier, is just going to be better if you're going to spend the 4 points. You can also just take Grievous, but then you lose your threat tracers. So I think that's your other option is being able to run Grievous as a separate threat. And you could pick how you want to run Grievous. You could pick an outmaneuver Grievous, or you could pick just the standard Grievous. I found standard Grievous is just better. You put outmaneuver, everybody wants to kill it. Nobody wants an outmaneuver Grievous. So people hate
the other candidate too in the hyena not the hyena, the Belbalab is Captain Sear, right? Because you're looking at the horse shells that once you get the bullseye, Sear basically gives them crack shot, and if they're getting an extra calculate from one of the droids going in there, that's multiple crack shots that you could push through into damage into other ships.
The issue with Sear is you get impervium plating, and then if you don't have enough room to put a tactical droid, so you can't put your Pinata droid. You can't even mix up these. Like, I know why Sear is not in here. Sear is not a viable. If you're not going to run Kraken or guarantee you're going to get out, Sear is just not viable. They made sure Sear swarms could not come back. But I think I like your change with the treacherous. I also agree with the change for cluster missiles. I think cluster missiles are just an overkill for that droid ship. The Discord, adding that third Discord and then an energy shell just kind of is like a middle finger type thing.
Yeah.
And I like that. So, all right, let's move on. Jaden S getting a little B-Wing action here. JJ, what B-Wings is he bringing?
All right, so we got a Rebel list here provided by Jaden. We got, first off, Aiden Fox, the Battle of Endor version, coming in at 4 points. It's a trap, parting gift, proton rockets, and proton bombs. Next up, we got Netrum Pollard coming in with FCS proton cannons and counter-nets. And then we got Rourke Garnets, a ship that we have not seen in a while, in the HWK, coming in with Enduring, Chewbacca, Ion Bombs, and the Molten Curl title. Then we got the return of Colby Sporado coming in with Deadeye Shot Cluster Missiles and R4 Astromech. And then Lieutenant Blount in the Z95 with Enduring, Elusive, and Electronic Baffle.
Yep. I
to round
added the
off list.
electronic baffle just so you know, because there was extra points.
It was nothing there.
It was not there, so I was
Yeah.
like, well, you got extra points, you might as well put something there. Like, you never have to use it, right? You know,
Yeah, exactly.
I would never use it. Well, yeah, if nobody shoots at them, I would use it, but other than that, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. So I do want to point out this is all the XWA's beta points that we're looking at here, in case anybody's confused with some of the point values here. So let's start off with the list. I think Rourke Garnet is actually a very smart idea for this one here. Rourke's ability, if you're not familiar, allows you that at the start of the engagement phase, you can select the pilot in your firing arc. That means you can either do out the front arc or out the side arc, wherever your turret is pointed, and make that ship shoot at initiative 7. 9 times out of 10, you're going to pick Adon Fox, who's an I1 on there, so that we can guarantee that he gets his shot off first before anybody goes. He is normally an I1 there. If you're able to line up his proton rocket, you can shoot that proton rocket off first. It's very easy for them to, barrel into position or for them to do that. And then the rest of the list can go there. Now, some of the changes I would consider on this here is Netrum Pollard, probably downgrading the counter nets into ion bombs, so you can make that proton cannon into a sync laser cannon. Now, the reason being for that is that, again, proton cannons is bullseye only. Netrum is an I3 B-wing. So it's going to be harder for you to line up that bullseye unless you're flying against like large spaceships. Then that could be a little easier. But in general, it does become a little harder for you to line up that bullseye at I3. So with the sync laser cannon, you can essentially fire 2 3-die shots at your opponent that you have locked on, and just go from there. Even if you're not getting the full ability of the sync laser cannon off, it's still 2 3-die shots that you're getting off. And Ion Bomb is still very, very good. Helps prevent your opponent from claiming objectives and stuff, and keep them right where you need them. The other suggestion I would go in there, I'm still a very big fan of Notorious on Colby, and you could put in Contraband Cybernetics or just keep Dead Man Switch and Notorious on Colby if you want to, just because you get, I think, it deters people from targeting that particular X-Wing and going to your other ships that can probably do a little bit better, but you can be aggressive with that X-Wing as you need to. And Lieutenant Blount, I love the idea of Enduring and Elusive. Helps keep that Z95 alive. However, you're probably better off going with like and a shield upgrade just to give them a little more health. You are going to have the other ships that are going to be in other ships' faces. And with Lieutenant Blount, once they roll that extra die on there, he does need to have a little more health because he can't be squishy. And I think the shield upgrade just kind of helps that health spend out a little bit more. Elusive, you're only getting 33% chance of rolling that die into an evade, or at least into a focus. You're less likely to get that off consistently. So.
Yeah, I'm not sold on the Adon Fox personally myself. You're never going to get that. How often are you going to get that procket off? Probably not. It was a dumb design by AMG, but I mean, I guess for a 4-point B-wing, I guess it works. I do like the Rook Garnet, I do like that deal. I do actually still like Blount in this list. I'll be honest. Like, I kind of like Blount in this list better than other stuff, right? Yeah. Just because of the fact, like, Kraken would work to some extent in this list, because you could use Rook to swing up Kraken, right? And then he gives out a action afterwards. So you could do that, but I think the Lieutenant Blount just says, hey, I can roll up with anything, and it's a 3-dice shot no matter what,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So Yeah, I would probably look at why I want Aiden in this list, and probably switch that out with something else for 4 points. Your other option is you could take this Rook Garnet and you can lower it down to what's the 4.1 that is now available.
Let me take a look here.
It's Kyle Katarn.
Yeah, Kyle Katarn. Yeah, passing off a focus token could be very, very good, especially with Colby.
Yep, and then because then you because now then it gives you that extra point because it's only 4 points. You don't get the Chewbacca in the ion bombs, but you can still run Enduring if you want, and then that gives you an extra point. You could take that 8 on Fox. It could become a Luke, right? Like you can make that into the Luke Skywalker. You can make it into, I don't know, a Garvin. You can make it into a Garvin and run a different version of a Heratani list, right? So that's kind of like those are kind of where I would be looking. I'm just not sold on Adon. I guess that's just me. I'm not sold on these stupid. I would like just to ban all the freaking standard loadout cards. But
yeah.
All right. The next one we have is from Joe4. It's another scum list. We have Drea in the Y Wing with false transponder codes and dorsal turret. Then we have not one, not two, not three, but 4 Zealous Fang Fighters, all with shield upgrades.
Yeah. Yeah, really, really good. So if you're not familiar with Drea Renthal, her ability allows for generic pilots that she has in her arc to re-roll attack dice whenever they attack. It doesn't have to be primary. It could be either a secondary weapon or a primary weapon on there. The Zealous recruits with shield upgrades makes them a lot more resilient in order for them to that initial attack and just lose a shield rather than a hole and go in there and attack, most likely with double mods if they still have that focus on there. I like this a lot. This is something that we've seen before in 2.0 when this was a lot more common on there. However, I think that if we're an aggressive version of this, if you're trying to get more out of Drea, you can put in Mando Optics, which is still 3 points, and then you can put in cluster missiles in the missile slot there, and then put in a munitions failsafe on the secondary modification slot. So essentially, what happens is during the system phase, you can lock a ship at range 3, hopefully, with your ship, and that should unlock your cluster missile shot. If you're doing a 2 straight, that should bring you within at least range 1 of your intended ship, assuming that they don't just zoom by or try to fly by. And if you catch them in your net, now you have 8 potential shots with cluster missiles from your Fang fighters that Drea can now double mod on both shots of the cluster missiles. And if you happen to roll bad on one of those shots, hey, you got a munitions failsafe, you recover one of those charges, and you're good to go. And the best part about it is that since you took that lock during your system phase, you're free to still take that focus token either for offense or keep it for defense, whatever you need. So that's a little more of an aggressive build on there, but I do like the shield upgrade. It just makes it harder to kill those Fang fighters.
Yeah, I think it's a basic list, and I like the idea of trying to make generics work again. And I think like in this case, like that's the idea, right? Like that's what Drea can do is give that to you. Now I will say I think you could take 2 of those Fang fighters and put them as generic M3As, right? Maybe not, like because they're not going to get that 4 dice attack at range 1. So yeah. So
or the defensive mod.
Yeah, so it's probably just better to stick with Fang fighters. I was trying to figure out how you could make like some sort of a swarm with this. But I mean, I used to run 4 Fang fighters, and some other stuff like when I first started running Scum in early 2.0, and it was a lot of fun. So used to be able to do dumb things with it. So is that all the lists?
Yeah, that's everything that we got for this time. And thank you everybody who submitted a list early on when we first started putting out the feels out there on Discord to get these lists out there. We really appreciate everybody that has submitted lists. We will be doing more of these as these come on. So if you haven't already, join our Discord. You can put in your list in our Discord there under our X-Wing section, or you can, if you subscribe and comment on YouTube, we can pull your list from YouTube so that we can review in future videos. So we hope to look forward to doing one of your lists hopefully in the future.
Yep. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up tonight. I know it was a little bit shorter of a podcast than we did before, but really the idea is like, if you submit lists, we'll do longer shows. Right? But I think the bigger thing is I'm excited to talk a little bit about. I'm excited to start talking about the newer stuff from AMG, and I would love for Ali and them to say, hey, how are we going to be able to fit this in? Because I bet you they didn't think about it as much, and now all of a sudden, hey, here we go, here's crunch time. So I'll be interested to see how they fit into the XWA points. If you are following us because you watch or are in Greg's league for the Nickel City X-Wing, thank you for joining us, and hopefully go Wolfpack. Hopefully you'll enjoy some of the content. I can't tell you if we are allowed to stream yet. I have to figure that out. We used to stream games, but because of our contract with FFG for SWU, I don't know if I'm going to be allowed to stream TTS games right now. So I have to do some research and find out, just because I can't do SWU TTS, but technically X-Wing's canceled, right? So like, I should be able to stream whatever I want for X-Wing without getting in trouble. So I just got to find out. We'll do that. We'll probably be back in a couple of weeks. We'll break down some of the new points for not M3As. I wish we had new M3A points. We'll break down some of the lists, or some of the cards for the new renew. I don't know, for whatever. We'll break down some of the cards for the Phantoms and the Alpha Star class wings, because those are a little bit exciting. And hopefully by the time we do that, we'll have the points from Ollie's team, and then we can just kind of do a 2-in-1 combo, and it'll be done. With that being said, thank you all. Have a good night. Submit those lists, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.